Hello, YouTube. So I'm at the 44th Street SkyTrain station. There's the 44 bus. I just got off. I love how that bus services this station, and I really wish that they made this, as you see, there's a long platform for buses, and conceivably the other side of the station could be used as a platform for buses as well. I really wish they made this into a full-on, Valley Metro made this into a full-on transit center, comparable to the transit centers in Oregon. By the way, it's 4:56 p.m. Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. Let me get that out the way. I wish they would turn this into a full-on transit center in the way that transit centers are used, not the way Phoenix uses transit centers, but in the way transit centers are used in Oregon. And for those that are curious what the difference is, transit centers here seem to only maybe, I mean maybe, have the bus stop, the bus that goes north or south or east and west near that transit center, roll into it and then roll out of it. In most of the transit centers, I've noticed that's even no longer the case. That the bus that rolls in or rolls out just stays on the street it is, and you've got to walk from the so-called transit center out to that street to catch that bus. Some specific examples I could give are 19th Avenue, the Route 19, does not roll into the Montebello Transit Center, which is at Montebello and 19th Avenue. If you're on one of the buses that does go into the transit center, which the only two buses that go into the transit center are the Route 10 and the Route 60, and you want to transfer to the 19, you have to walk out of the transit center, walk over to 19th Avenue, catch the bus there. Don't even get me started on Central Station. That's a whole separate. Excuse me, pardon me. Excuse me. That's a whole separate tragedy. It's in the process of being bulldozed. In fact, I just uploaded a short that shows it all just as a giant pile of rubble. Oh shit, there is my train. Fuck, I just missed it. God damn it. Well, that sucked. What a yelling crazy man over there. Fuck, I can't believe I just missed the train because dude was walking on an escalator. Fucking A. Oh, that sucks. Oh, it totally smells like weed right here. Man. Fucking A. So close and yet so far. Damn. What kind of craziness is going on here? This guy's ranting and raving and yelling. Anyway, there's transit security. I wonder if they're going to do anything about that guy. That's rough. That guy's missing a leg. Still, that's not a good reason to be ranting and yelling like that. All right, so where was I? Like the 19th Avenue bus 19 doesn't really go into the Montebello Transit Center. Other notable ones I can think of are I'm having trouble thinking of them. There's a little transit center at the light rail station. Another one I went to lately because it's in an area I don't ride very often. There's a little transit center at the light rail station where the light rail stops by Rural Road in Tempe, and the Route 72 just goes up and down Rural Road. It does not pull into the transit center. So when you get off that light rail train, instead of walking across to the transit center the way I walked across from the light rail at every single place I got off light rail in, with the exception of Goose Hollow, every other single place that I got off light rail in Oregon, and went to a bus, every single one, I walked directly from the train platform to the bus stop. There was a transit center, or at least an off-street transit stop in the case of 158th Avenue. It's funny, that's not even considered a transit center because the only bus that stopped there is 158th Avenue. But regardless, it's not parked and camping and blocking the street. There's an actual place where it pulls off and a stop that is off the street where you're able to directly walk from the train platform to where you catch the 158 bus to head north. Yeah, they're all like that. Whereas when you get on the 72, which is the main north-south route in that part of town from the light rail, you actually have to come, instead of going to the transit center, and there is a transit center there, directly adjacent to the train platform. You have to.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You have to walk across Rural Road and get to the other side of Rural Road to catch the northbound 72. And Rural Road is an extremely wide road, and it's a difficult intersection to get across. It takes some time. When I did that transfer about a week and a half ago, yeah, it's about a week ago that I did it. I nearly missed my bus because of the time that it took for me to get off the train. I ended up having to jaywalk. There's no way, if I'd have waited for the light, there's no way I would have caught the bus. And the bus was only running every 30 minutes. I'd have been stuck there waiting for another 30 minutes. Yeah, and there's no coordination between that bus route, the 72 and the train. Like it doesn't, when it gets to that stop, which would be nicer if it pulled into the transit center, but when it gets to that stop where the people have to try to walk across a busy intersection and get across from the train platforms, the bus doesn't pay attention to where the train is and stay at that stop and wait for people to make it, people coming off the train who are transferring to the bus to make it across the crosswalk and get there. The only way I managed to catch that bus was I could see it coming. I already knew how close it was because I was watching the tracking on the transit app, which was something I failed to do just right now, or I'd have been hustling a lot faster through the Sky Bridge. I had seen that it was really close and knew that it was going to be a tight transfer. And as soon as I came off that train, I was running down that train platform, looking at the street, realizing I didn't have time to wait for that light, and just basically playing Frogger, running across Scottsdale Road against the light, which is a very unsafe thing to do. I'm not even advocating for that. I'm just saying, Phoenix, by scheduling their buses and their trains in such a way where there's no thought put forth into how people transfer from one mode of transportation to another mode of transportation, and no timing to accommodate a safe transfer from one route to the next, it forces those that use transit that need to get where they're going in any kind of reasonable time and don't want to be standing on a street corner in the heat for 30 minutes to do those sorts of dangerous things. And now I'm kind of wishing I had plowed by that guy that was just standing at the escalator doing whatever the fuck he was doing. Tying his shoe, I guess? Like, don't block the escalator when you're tying your shoe. Step to the side. God damn, dude. Anyway, so what I was saying is I was thinking it would be really nice if the SkyTrain station was a transit center in the vein of the transit centers that I used in Oregon. And the ones I'm referring to specifically would be the Hollywood Transit Center, which I believe is on the red line, blue line, green line. I'll service that one. And I forget the names of the buses. I'm really bad with the bus numbers. I never really did get a handle on the bus numbers in Portland. But there were several different bus platforms and a whole bunch of different buses that service that. And it's not even a matter of, well, you can take a step back and go, well, Phoenix has gridded streets. So, of course, they're just going east and west and north and south on the gridded streets. The area where the Hollywood Transit Center is in Portland is an area. It's in East Portland, in an area that is pretty much all gridded streets. And that doesn't force the bus routes to just go east and west and north and south on those gridded streets. From that transit center, buses go out, sometimes having to zigzag, from one gridded street to another gridded street, but they go out in a radial pattern from that transit center. That way you get to the transit center on whatever ride, if it's a bus or a train, that gets you to that, and then you either get on the train or you transfer to another bus that is going in a radial pattern outward. And something like that I think would be very helpful here. Other transit centers that I use there that did the same sort of thing were the Beaverton Transit Center, the Tigard Transit Center, and the I'm completely forgetting the name of it. Sunset Transit Center. All of those. When you stepped off the train, and I'm looking at the act of stepping off the train here would be getting off this train platform and taking the Sky Bridge over to the SkyTrain station, because that's a whole lot safer than trying to cross that or trying to cross that. And it looks like they're in the process of putting up some kind of an obstacle here. I see these bases being added here. It looks like they're trying to put up some kind of an obstacle to stop people from running from this platform over to that bus shelter. Because obviously the most direct route, if you need to transfer that bus, is to just run across the street. So it looks like they're trying to make an obstacle here, which, here's a novel concept. How about not putting the train platform in a location where your best route as a pedestrian to get to your other mode of transportation is running across the tracks and across the street. And for me, like, one of the transfers I have to do on a pretty regular basis, almost every morning, I want to say four mornings a week, is instead of having the time to take that nice, comfortable Sky Bridge, which is air conditioned and has people movers in it, I have to come all the way out this bus platform, or all the way out the platform here. This is one of the only two exits from it. I don't like people directly running across the street. And I have to go across this monstrosity of an intersection, 44th Street and Washington. I have to get across that half a strode. And then I have to walk across that crosswalk over to where the Circle K was. Circle K just shut down this week. Kind of sad, but it had been a super sketchy place for a while, and I think Circle K is just sick of it. Could be a property deal. They might have, sold the property for something more valuable than that store. And there is, as you can see, there is a Circle K just to the north at 44th and Van Buren. So anyway, kind of bummed. I did stop at that Circle K a lot. Kind of bummed that it's gone. And with the Circle K on that bus stop over there has gotten even sketchier. In fact, they've removed the bus bench. The city of Phoenix has removed the bus bench from that bus stop, which was not adequate for the amount of people that wait at that bus stop. And they replaced it with 2 metal chairs with arms on each side to just make it that much more difficult for people to potentially lay down, homeless people to potentially lay down on it. Now here's a novel concept. How about have law enforcement enforce the law that only people who are waiting for transit are allowed to be at the transit stops. As lawless as Portland is, and as much of a reputation as Portland has for being kind of lawless and having a homeless issue, one thing I definitely noticed in Portland, there's not homeless people loitering at the bus stops. There's absolutely not. Now, they do tend to kind of loiter at some of the transit centers, but as far as actual bus stops, little shelters like that, it's posted that you can't loiter there unless, there's specifically for the purpose of waiting for the bus. And they seem to, I absolutely didn't see homeless people kicking it at them. Like, there wouldn't be, like, if this was Portland, there wouldn't be a homeless person sitting at that shelter. Oh, and look, they did the same thing with that one. They removed the bench and put the 2 little chairs. That's what I was talking about. So room for 2 people to sit down while waiting for the bus. Probably adequate for that bus stop, but not anywhere near adequate for that one on North 44th Street. In Portland, you'd probably have somebody set up a tent right there by that bush in the gravel. But at least, that homeless person is just kicking it in the tent, and they're not messing with the people or in the way of the people that are riding the bus. So, I don't know. I find it to be preferable to what was what happens here. Anyway, so yeah, I think it'd be really nice if it was if the same sort of thing was done with the SkyTrain station. If it had a bunch of routes, that went out radially. It could be serviced by the 44, the 32, and the 44, the 32, and the 1. They all kind of go through this intersection. But then also it could be serviced by. I don't see any reason it couldn't be serviced by the 3, and also the 10. There's another route that I think I scratch my head at how Phoenix uses it versus where it actually goes. And speaking of the route 1, there it is, loading over there, which is one of the reasons people are, motivated to just run across the tracks and across the street. And there's the SkyTrain. Yay. Which a lot of people don't realize, and I've been trying to tell as many bus people about this as I can, is that if you're trying to get from the Route 44, any of these routes at this intersection, over to the Route 13, that is the best way to do it. Hop that SkyTrain all the way to Terminal 3, and then get on Terminal 3, a short walkway, and boom, there's where you catch the Route 13 Buckeye bus. And here comes a train. Well, it wasn't too long of a wait for the train, but still, that's however many minutes 15 minutes here, I'm not getting back. That's all right. It's only 5:12. I'm hoping to do a quick stop at Taco Bell Cantina again, and then catch the 6:11 bus to work. Anyway, thanks for coming along with on the walk and listening to my boring rambling about transit centers. I was going to mention what I think is the flaw in Route 10 and how Route 10 could also serve SkyTrain as a transit center, but I guess that's a subject for another video at another time. Thanks for watching.